Welcome to Money to Grow, Fund Your Dreams. I'm Latoya Smith, the founder and CEO of Brass City Media, a video production and visual storytelling company based in Brooklyn, New York, and I'm your moderator. If you are looking for growth equity, media, marketing, or technology resources to expand into new markets and to grow your business, you want to stick around. I have two individuals who are going to show you how to get financing for your business, even in the midst of a global recession and a national pandemic. So joining me is Teresa Ward-Maupin, who is the Senior Vice President of Digital and Customer Experience at Comcast, and Kim Folson, who is the co-founder and CEO of Founders First Capital Partners. Ladies, thank you both for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
So, Teresa, I'd like to start with you. Over this past year, we have seen and felt the financial impact that COVID-19 has had on Black-owned businesses, in addition to the social unrest. And sure, the federal government did step in and provide some PPP funding, but we know that that missed a lot of Black-owned businesses in the first round. So many have relied on the financial support of the private sector and philanthropists. Can you talk a little bit about why Comcast Rise, decided to make Black-owned businesses its priority this year and even start the program?
Sure, absolutely. So, we know that Black-owned businesses were disproportionately impacted as a part of COVID. More than 41% of Black-owned businesses were closed as a result. And so as we looked at how could we help from a Comcast standpoint, it was all about empowering and strengthening businesses who truly serve our communities. They're really the backbone of our communities. So we created Comcast Rise, which stands for the representation, investment, strengthen, and empowerment to really support these businesses. And we created it around three key things. When talking about how could we support in this moment, we looked at what are some of the great capabilities that exist within Comcast today, specifically effective supports media, marketing, and so forth. Comcast Business brings to the table technology and products and services. So we created three pillars, and it was really around how do we support businesses from an advertising, a marketing standpoint? How can we help them in really leveraging some of their dollars and maximizing their media spend, their timing, and their strategies there? And how can we help them create production assets such as 30-second spots to really drive the traffic into their businesses to gain some of that back? And then the last one was, how can we leverage technology? As you know, technology became such a huge part of businesses recovering. How can we leverage technology and some of the great products and service to help them strengthen their businesses and truly recover?
And that's a really interesting way to help small businesses. I think for these last, 8 to 9 months, we've just been seeing a lot of grants and different financial awards. Why did you all decide to go in that direction versus just giving money?
It's very easy for businesses to give money. And I think it is great that you see so many large companies giving hundreds of millions of dollars in support, but you don't often see businesses take action. And when we thought about how can we truly help, we recognize that the main problems of small businesses are often they may be great at running their business, but they don't necessarily have the skills such as marketing and advertising or the funds to be able to do spots or commercials. And we felt like that was a way for us to help instead of just giving money, which Comcast certainly is contributing there as well. We wanted to be supportive and take action. We really want to be a part of helping them recover, but even more so, we want to be a part of helping them sustain their business and giving back to the community.
I think it's great now that we're seeing these different ecosystems come together, whether it's supporting businesses on the technology, the marketing, and the media side, but also offering alternatives, financing alternatives. And Kim, that's what you all do at Founders First Capital Partners. Can you talk about the alternative financing that you all have put together to help Black-owned businesses retain ownership of their business, but also being able to expand their businesses at the same time?
Certainly. And I'm delighted to be here. And gosh, Teresa, I look forward to hearing about a potential collaboration based on what we are doing. So Founders First was founded as my seventh venture. Prior to that, I was on the other side of the table as a founder of six technology-based businesses, of which I raised over 30 million in equity funding. And the challenge, there's so many people who want to, get access to capital to grow their business, but you need to make certain that you use the right funding options and have the right expertise to do this, as well as get access to the right resources that Teresa mentioned as well. And so our version of capital is a much more flexible, low dilutive version, unlike equity where you may be giving up 20 to 40%. Instead, it's an investment in your revenue streams, and it provides a flexible way for growth. We focus on funding revenue generating businesses that are looking to hire, invest in marketing, product solutions, those types of things, because that's really what helps move the needle to scale these businesses. But our method of funding is revenue-based financing, which is a hybrid between traditional debt, where you have the fixed payment regardless of what happens, or you have the equity side where you're giving up a substantial portion of your business. And so we kind of take the best of both to help grow these diverse founder-led businesses.
And I think we always know how important ownership is, but so much more this year. I think many of us are really paying attention to keeping ownership of our businesses. But Kim, can you talk about what type of businesses, would be best poised to apply for this type of RBI financing?
Certainly. So first and foremost, we recognize that not all businesses are going to be the next Facebook, or the unicorn business as often talked about. We focus where most diverse founders, businesses owned by Black and Brown folks, are running service-based and light manufacturing businesses. And so that's the focus of our business as well. And so being able to help them with growing, categorized as either Clydesdale, up to either 1, 5, north of 10 million in revenues, because those businesses have a significant impact in being, employing, 20, 50, 100 people in their communities.
And these are for when you say mature businesses, what's the revenues that they need to have in order to apply for the program?
I would say they're not mature. I mean, most of the businesses that we work with are anywhere from a few years old, 3 years old, to, we've funded businesses that have been, 20 years old, but they're not, ideation pre-revenue companies. They need to be generating revenue. They need to be cash flow break even. But the opportunity that we have for them is that we fund like a venture fund does. We'll go up to $1 million. The initial funding can be anywhere from 100 to 250,000, and then additional follow-on fundings from there based on performance. The other key component of our funding option is that we provide advisory support to help them with developing, implementing, and iterating their growth plans. All successful businesses are never what they started out to be. As they gain market adoption and attraction, you need to iterate based on what's happening in the market. I mean, just like businesses, that what's happening now, what they did, pre-pandemic, they have to change and make adjustments to take advantage of different market forces.
And Teresa, before we go into learning a little bit more about the RISE program, Kim, I just want you to expound on that a little bit more. Can you talk about the other component of it? You said that you have the advisory support investment part of it. So you talked a little bit about the class.
Certainly. As I shared, in my own journey, and founding and growing 7 businesses, selling 3 of them, I learned a lot along the way, had some successes, but I had a lot of stumbling blocks as well. And our goal is to help these businesses, not have the same, as I call it, dramas, and have more comedies at the end. And so if they can be partnered with somebody who's done what they're seeking to do, they have a better chance of achieving success. At the end of the day, what's so different than when I did my first business some 20 years ago is that, women of color, people of color are starting businesses, 750 brand new businesses every single week. But without the appropriate resources, like Teresa mentioned, funding and expertise, they're never going to get to that 1.5 million, 10 million plus businesses. And the other goal for us is to be able to go through and look at, in any community that you can look at a business owned by a person of color that is over $5-10 million, that is going to be a significant wealth and resource to the community. And so that's why we partner them with somebody who's been there and done that, who can tell them not only the good things that are about to happen, but the challenges that they may not see in front of the curve.
That's awesome. And Teresa, can you talk about some of the businesses that apply for the program? So, Kim shared that she, Founders First really looks at service-based businesses. What type of businesses do you all offer your services to?
It's a plethora. So, it can be retail, restaurants, you name it, barbershops, and so forth. It really is about really encouraging small businesses that have been impacted by the pandemic or by social unrest to help us understand what are some of the challenges that they are facing. How are their businesses operating today? What are some of the key things that would aid them in recovering? That's really what we're looking for. We're not targeting one specific business type, but more so a business need.
And you offer 3 different types of needs. We talked about the media, the marketing, and the technology. Once a business applies and say they're accepted to get technology support, can they reapply and get access to the other services that you offer, or are they just awarded one type of service to help their business?
That's a great question. I appreciate you asking it. It really is, specifically if they are able to support, if they get the technology support initially, they absolutely have every opportunity to apply again, in which they might get some other services based off of the support that they need. So we encourage companies to apply multiple times. And, our goal is to help as many businesses as possible and support them in the areas that are their biggest pain points today.
Yeah, and what's been the feedback so far on those pain points? How are businesses responding to this program?
So I have to tell you, we are excited to see that so many businesses have submitted. And when I say excitement, it's based on businesses recognizing that there are resources available to help them. So the fact that we are getting so many people submitting for the support, I think is positive, because it's an opportunity for us to identify the different types of support that is needed.
Teresa, this is another question I wanted to ask you. So when we talk to Kim, we know that she works with diverse businesses, but to be a part of this program, you have to be 51% Black owned. What are the other requirements to apply for Comcast Rise?
Yeah, so 51% Black owned, as well as being over the age of 18. We want the business to have been in business at least a year. And we ask that the individuals that are running the business, that are the minority or people of color running the business, that they are very involved in the day-to-day operations as well.
So, Kim, you've been in business for more than 25 years, and like you've shared, this is the 7th business that you've worked on. What advice do you have for businesses, specifically Black-owned businesses, on ways that they can strengthen their cash flow or just better position themselves when, an economic crisis or any type of crisis happens, so they can not only survive but thrive through times like this?
Certainly, great question. So one key component is business financial health. One of the elements that we began building a relationship with the businesses that we work with is through our accelerators. And we have accelerators that help businesses generate as low as $50,000 annual revenue up to $5 million. And with that, one key component that we stress is business financial health. And that was one of the things that was really critical, even as part of the PPP and other economic stimulus, is that you need to make certain that you have your books in order and that honestly, you're not doing them yourself, because that's just a recipe for failure. By working with someone, not someone who says, hey, I'll do your books, but someone who's, certified, qualified to do books. And they've been doing this for hundreds of people. So, a qualified accountant is very key. The other is having a growth, path and mindset that looks beyond today, but where you can go and be that $1 million, $5+ million business. And the third is having a path to exit that truly is a win-win for all stakeholders. Most people spend so much energy of, I'm going to start something, I'm going to launch something, but they don't look at, well, what does success look like? And what does success look like as far as wealth creation? And if you can't see how that helps either create wealth for your investors, your own family, then you need to make some adjustments there. That's what's really critical. You don't fall too in love with your idea, fall in love with being able to make a significant positive economic impact for you, your family, and your community.
I would encourage so many businesses, this is a time when you shouldn't be focused on your pride. This is a time when you should be focused on what resources are available to you and how can you maximize that to really make a difference. If we look at small businesses being the cornerstone of our operations, we have all walked down the street where we see that a business that was open yesterday isn't open today. And that has a dramatic impact on their communities. So our goal should continue to be, how do we keep businesses open? How do we sustain them? How to Kim's point, can we continue to grow that wealth and then impact the community to a much larger scale?
That's really great advice. Can we go back and talk about, you talked about the growth plan. How is that different from a business plan?
Too often business plans can be, 20, 100 pages. The way that we go through it, it's 2 pages. It's basically, where do you want to be in 10 years? And why do you want to be there? And, and what do you need to have happen in order to be there? People think, oh, I just want to go big and get sold. And it's like, you're going to get sold, but if you end up being sold and that doesn't result in a way for you to take care of yourself or your family, then that wasn't a great outcome. So, this growth plan looks at your path to growth in 10, 3, 1, and 90-day segments so that you can have those accountability components. It also takes a look at what are the other people that need to support you, partners, advisors, employees, team members to help you get there, as well as identifying the resources and stumbling blocks that are gaps that take you from where you are today to where you want to be.
And Teresa, I would ask you the same question. What advice do you have for business owners during this time?
I'll say one thing. I certainly have advice on taking advantage of the resources that are available to you, whether it be Comcast Rise or other support that is available. But, I would tell you, LaToya, one of the things that has been so positive for me is, as we've worked with many businesses initially on just understanding where the opportunities are, you don't see or feel a sense of defeat in any way. You feel this great sense of resiliency, of wanting to climb back, of wanting to make a difference, of wanting to serve their communities. And that has been something, as I look at where can we help, it's more than just the initial resources, but it really has to do, to Kim's point of helping build wealth and giving them the resources they need to go beyond the initial sustainment.
Right. And so before we close, is there anything that I missed that you all may want to share about your individual programs or the services that you provide to small business owners?
Certainly. While many people think that the pandemic and the recessionary times is such a difficult, unbelievable, time to make a difference or make an impact, this is a great time to do this. Of the 6 businesses I founded, 4 of them were during a recessionary time. There is so much opportunity to solve problems for folks. And to Teresa's point, that this is a great time to take advantage of those resources and relationships to help make an impact, because we're super excited about helping guide these businesses through this time.
And that's great. And that's the mindset of an entrepreneur. When you're up against adversity, you have to look and see where there are some opportunities. So what advice would you give people right now who feel like they've entered into business at the wrong time? I've heard someone say that, at the beginning of this year, I had so many things planned, and then COVID hit. I got into this at the wrong time. What would you say to them?
that, you know what, you take a step back and look at, who needs help. And, you'd be amazed at one, and it can start with just helping one person, that can just change your mindset. It may start with calling a friend and then, going to some particular service area. But, everyone has an opportunity to solve a big problem. I mean, it took me 7 times to get to the point where I'm solving the problem of thousands of, folks of color and diverse founders. And, when I started my first business some 25 years ago, my investor said, Kim, you should be on the other side of the table helping people. It's like, are you kidding me? It took me this long to figure this out. But it's so rewarding to be able to use both my successes and challenges to help people not make the same mistakes. And so there are a lot of people out there who want to help you achieve the business of your dreams, as what was talked about in the name of this session. So take advantage of it.
Right. And it doesn't happen overnight. And I think that's the story that so many entrepreneurs and new entrepreneurs maybe don't get, because they see social media and they assume that this stuff happens so quickly. But people, it takes 7 to 10 years to get going and really find your rhythm in the business. And Teresa, I think you're doing what you all are doing over at Comcast Rise is great, because you're showing individuals that, hey, it's an entire ecosystem, and it takes all these different moving parts in order to promote your product or your service and get in front of different clients. What advice would you give individuals who this may be new to at this time? Maybe they're a brick and mortar, they've never thought about, the marketing, the technology part of it, and they're not really sure if this program is right for them. What would you say to them?
I think if you look at how businesses had to change as a result of COVID, so many of them changed their business model just to be able to stay open and to continue to sustain. And what I would really suggest to them is to determine where they want to go from here and what are some of the key resources that they'll need. Because it may be that, to your point earlier, some businesses really need a technology upgrade, but it may be that what they really need to do is get feet in the door purchasing their products and services, or awareness that their businesses are back open for business. We really have to look at what are the specific things that they need and what are the opportunities that may be available to them.
And Teresa, to go back earlier when you were talking about the different types of services that you provide, when you say tech upgrades, is this anything from websites? Can you get more specific on exactly what some of those things are that you help businesses with?
Sure. So absolutely, I can go into it in a little bit more detail. So from a technology upgrade standpoint, it could be that businesses simply need to upgrade their computers, their laptops, their tablets. It could be that they need stronger internet power coming into their businesses to operate at a different scale. So as a part of this, we're offering products and services such as voice, data, security, you name it, for a year for free to these small businesses. And we're coupling that with the equipment that we believe they could need. And as I mentioned before, it really often is around just getting the right laptops and computers available that'll allow them to optimize how they're running their business.
So Teresa, I know now that Comcast Rise is for majority owned, Black owned businesses, and that you all are offering media marketing and technology services. But what's the next phase of that? What does that look like?
Thanks for asking that question. This really is a multi-year program in which we will be awarding recipients on a quarterly basis. And the next phase of this, in addition to the items that I shared earlier, is to give $10,000 grants to small businesses. And that is something that will start and open up as of November 24th. And that will go through the end of February. And as I mentioned before, we'll be giving these awards out on a quarterly basis. So if you are selected for technology or media or marketing, I encourage you to submit again. This is not a situation where it's once and done. This really is a multi-year program, and we really do want to assist the broader base.
And at the end of the year, what does success look like for you all over at Comcast?
Success looks like making a huge difference to these businesses, keeping their doors open, helping them sustain it. If I look at the end of year one, I'd love to go back to every business that we offered support to and see that they are still open, they're going strong, and they're prospering.
And Kim, I'd ask you the same. So at the end of this, or as this program continues to admit more Black-owned businesses, what's the vision? What's the outcome? What does success look like for you all?
Certainly. Well, as since we were founded in 2015, we've worked with over 300 companies. And our vision is that there's more businesses that are, job creators, sustainers that are over $1 million, $5 million, $10 million businesses, and they're sprinkled throughout the US. Our vision is to work with 1,000 or more companies and help them grow to be, significant providers of diverse workforces. And with resources like Teresa's at Comcast and Time Warner, they're able to go through and be able to provide that type of support, because it is going to be technology, revenue growth, and all of those pieces that are going to help these businesses grow. We've seen that in order for them to grow, they need to increase their number of revenue streams. So they need to advertise and market to do that. They need to add technology so they can scale and become much more profitable than they would otherwise. And so that's the promise, and that's the outcome that we're driving toward, as well as being a platform that, the 25-year-old, 30, 45-year-old person who says, I want to grow $1 million business, and knows that they'll take them seriously, welcome them, and provide them the resources, flexible capital, and advisory support to make it happen.
Teresa and Kim, thank you both for joining me today and sharing the many resources that you all have available to Black-owned businesses. I hope that you all will visit their websites, read more about it, and figure out if it's a good fit for your business. Enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you, LaToya.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Thank you.
Terrific points all around. A lot to think about and act upon in the days ahead. Thank you, Kim Folsom and Teresa Ward-Maupin. And a special thanks to LaToya for moderating. We appreciate you all. Okay, we're approaching the end of day 2 and the conclusion of the 2020 BE Entrepreneurs Conference. It's been such a blast hosting this year's summit. Thank you, Butch Graves and BE Conference, once again for this exciting opportunity. But we're not done. Virtual happy hour is coming up at 4:10, courtesy of the team at Remy Martin. You want to hang in for that. One last networking opportunity. But first, it's time for our final fireside chat